Staying in contact. I'm London Mitchell. As I have said many times in these chats we have, I am a big proponent of enhancing passenger rail service. There is a not-for-profit organization in our area working to convince the public, government officials, and business leaders that passenger trains would be good for Toledo and its surrounding communities. The organization is called NOPRA. It's an acronym for Northwest Ohio Passenger Rail Association. My guests are Tom Galloway, NOPRA Chair, and Glenn Reihring, Vice Chair. One of the key reasons to push passenger rail is economic development. Tom?
Passenger rail seems to be a classic example of the if you build it, they will come. The former mayor of Meridian, Mississippi is a gentleman by the name of John Robert Smith. He's currently head of Transportation for America, and he lectured back before COVID at a NOPRA / TEMACOG Passenger Rail Committee forum and talked about what economic development came to Meridian, Mississippi after he convinced the people in power to stop the Amtrak train in Meridian. He built a station, and the development around that station, excuse me, the development around that station that just blossomed to the extent that the university actually built a second campus there in Meridian, and a performing arts center, hotels, restaurants, and other facilities, all subsequent to Amtrak stopping once a day each way on their route between Washington, D.C. and New Orleans.
For individuals who would like to find out more information about NOPRA or the efforts to expand passenger rail service through Toledo, they can do what?
You can contact us on our website, nopra.net, and there's a contact button where it will go right to our email page, and we monitor that daily.
Glenn, you have another example of economic impact.
There was a study done about the proposed rail corridors back in 2023, and the direct income due to rail-related jobs for the corridor, and this is from Cleveland to Toledo to Detroit, was projected to be in around $79.4 million by 2023, and in real terms, $2.38 billion, that's with a B, over a 30-year period. The direct income increase due to economic growth by rail corridor development will increase personal income by an additional $3.93 billion. And this will also increase property values, where they project to be $4.1 to $4.3 billion by the year 2053. Other tax benefits include the tax increase to the tax base, 1.21 times the capital cost of the project. And on top of that, it will expand the economy by increasing employment somewhere around the neighborhood of 70,000 to 74,000 people a year through indirect employment over a 30-year span of the lifespan of the system. Direct employment over the same period of time is around 48,970 man years worked. So not only are you increasing the tax base, you're increasing employment, you're increasing your personal property values. And so those are some of the other economic benefits that come with it.
To push the concept of increasing passenger rail service, we need support, uh, certainly in the state legislature. I would think locally as well. Do we have champions? Who can people reach out to say, "Hey, this is a topic we should keep on the table"?
In Toledo City Council, there is support in Toledo City Council for passenger rail. Uh, I can think specifically of Teresa Morris, councilwoman from, I think it's District 6. Um, Lucas County Commissioner Lisa Sebecki has been very supportive. She was very supportive when she was in Columbus. Um, State Representative Michelle Grimm is very supportive of passenger rail. State Representative Haraz Ganbari is very supportive of passenger rail. Uh, there are people here in Ohio, in Northwest Ohio, that are very supportive of this. One of the obstacles has been tied to the fact that in 2011, when John Kasich became governor, he turned back the money that the Obama administration had offered to the state of Ohio to the tune of $400 million to begin the 3C corridor, the Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati corridor that had been accepted by then Governor Ted Strickland. And Mr. Strickland was a strong supporter of passenger rail. He knew what connecting the key cities in the state of Ohio would have done. And there was a lot of study done, and then Governor Kasich turned that back. At the same time, he pulled the state of Ohio out of what is called the Midwest Passenger Rail Commission. And that seriously put any passenger rail efforts in the state of Ohio behind the 8 ball. Indiana's part of it, Michigan's part of it, Illinois is part of it, and I think even Iowa and Wisconsin. And the progress that had been made in Illinois, for example, they now have high-speed rail, expanded high-speed rail between Chicago and Springfield, running 110 or 120 miles an hour because of the efforts of this Midwest High-Speed Rail Commission. And they have expanded the speed between Detroit and the Michigan-Indiana line because they were able to purchase that line, and the state of Michigan owns it and operates it, and they're running that at 110 miles an hour. And a lot of that is done with the money that we, as Ohio, turned back. And as I mentioned earlier, the line from Chicago up to the Twin Cities, some of the funding that went into increasing and improving that service came from that $400 million. So that's one of the big things that needs to be done. I have had extensive talk with Representative Marcy Kaptur. She's very supportive of passenger rail. She, within the past year, signed on to a piece of legislation called the National Infrastructure Bank, which is a bank that was designed by Alexander Hamilton at the beginning of this country to build its infrastructure. And it was used by Hamilton, by Adams. It was used by Abraham Lincoln to help build the Transcontinental Railroad. It was used as the Reconstruction Finance Corporation by FDR to do what needed to be done to build our infrastructure to help us win World War II. And that bank does not raise taxes. It's a very long explanation to what it's done, but it has worked well. And there is legislation in the hopper to all of those banks had sunset clauses on it. This bank, as the legislation is written now, does not have a sunset clause, and it would allow us to improve anything you can think of under the umbrella of national infrastructure, including, and there's a specific earmark for, passenger and high-speed rail, a nationwide network. And we've got information on that we would be more than happy to disseminate.
And also on that, on the point about local thing, a House bill was introduced last week in the Insurance Committee, HB 488, and it deals primarily with Ohio's ability to get back into this Midwest Rail Compact. It was introduced by Mike Skindell, and it had its first reading at this committee last week.
Gentlemen, thank you for sharing information that needs to be studied and for sure work to keep the discussion about passenger rail services on the front burner. My guests have been Tom Galloway and Glenn Reihring of NOPRA, the Northwest Ohio Passenger Rail Association. Contact them at nopra.net.
Anytime, we'd be more than happy to go into further detail on anything we've discussed. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to get the message out.
Again, the website address is nopra.net. I'm London Mitchell, inviting you to join us again next week as we continue staying in contact.
Previous programs are available on Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podbeam, and londonmitchell.news.